Hello, welcome to the Love, Listen, Talk, Repeat podcast, where myself, Wendy Capewell, and invited guests on occasions talk about subjects relating to ourselves and our relationships. So let's get on with this week's show. Today I'm going to be talking about relationships. That's a surprise, isn't it? I think everybody has a different kind of relationship, and as long as it works for each of the people involved, I wouldn't be anybody who would say this is what you should be doing or this is what a relationship looks like. But I do believe that there are some key elements that help create a healthy relationship, whether it's with friends, family, or with your significant other. I'm going to be talking more about those over the coming podcasts, but to start with, an overview of what I believe makes the foundation, the basis of a healthy relationship. I think it consists of caring, equality, commitment, safety, communication, and respect. And those will cover quite a wide-ranging topics as I delve into them a bit deeper in future podcasts, as I said. But I think the most important relationship starts with ourselves. And each of the elements I mentioned also apply to the relationship as we have with ourselves. So ignoring them or dismissing them, they're likely to have a negative effect on the way we connect with others. I'm not saying, when they're talking about we have to love ourselves before we can have a relationship with anybody else, I think that's a bit overstated, really, because I think we're all a work in progress. And I think there are times when we feel more comfortable with ourselves and happy with ourselves than at other times. So I think it's a bit hard to say you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself. So I'm going to start talking about the first key element that I believe is important in our relationships and our relationship with ourselves. Growing up, we learned from the key figures in our lives the values that we mostly hold now. So, for example, if our caregiver didn't take care of themselves, always putting others before them, always giving, but therefore putting themselves at the bottom of the pile, then that's what will be what we take on board for ourselves, or we're most likely to. Many of us were taught that putting ourselves first is selfish and that we should always put others before us. But you see, self-care is really important because otherwise we become worn out. And it then affects our self-esteem and self-worth because we begin to feel taken for granted and resentful. And we just feel like we're a drudge and that nobody bothers with us. But that's because we've always put others before ourselves and not our self-care first. So that's a main point there, I think. So leading on to the next point, which is equality. Again, if we put ourselves on a different par to others, maybe we'll put ourselves at the bottom of the pile or in a lesser position. We're not going to feel equal to others in our lives. And again, we feel we don't count. Our self-esteem again takes a nosedive and we begin to feel worthless. We don't live up to what those others that we see around us. On the other hand, there are those that feel superior to others. And that is also not healthy. Because it means that you're always right. There's no room for growth or understanding or even compassion for anybody else. So you can see why that is a very healthy place to be, and equality is important. And I'm not talking about equality of the sexes. This is equality amongst others in our lives and our peers. Commitment. Now, people often think that being committed to a relationship means that you're going to get married, move in together, and so on. But actually what I want to talk about is a commitment to ourselves. Being the best version of ourselves. Being committed to really trying our hardest to just being that. Not comparing ourselves to others, but literally sticking at it. I want to achieve, or I want to achieve that thing. And I'd ask you, are you able to follow through? Or does it mean that you give up easily? Are you always searching for something bigger and better? Maybe you're dissatisfied with your lot. I think it is a case of trying to see things through and sticking at it, not comparing yourself to somebody else. Being committed to really sticking with it. But of course, there are times equally that we need to just say, I've tried my best, that didn't work, and maybe I need to move on to something else. The next point I make is about safety. And I think this covers quite a big subject as well, but do you feel safe enough to be yourself? Are you comfortable in your own skin? Or are you scared of being judged by others? Because that can often be the case. That sense of judgment and not feeling comfortable can lead us to lack of self-esteem again. Do you trust yourself to make the right decisions for you? Or are you always worrying that you won't make the right decision? Are you concerned whether or not the world around you is a safe place? And do you feel safe and secure to step out of your comfort zone? I think that one, I've asked a lot more questions there, haven't I? Just asking you to check that out. I'm going to move on to communication now, which is another big one. Because I think sometimes communication I know it does, it creates so many problems in our lives. But I want to ask you about the way you communicate and connect with yourself at this point. Are you able to love and accept yourself? Do you really know what you are about, how you fit in the world? What is that? What is your connection with yourself, about understanding? What is your personality? What is it that you really want? What is your driver in life? Do you find that sometimes that you put yourself down? Again, that negative voice that goes on in your head. I'm not good enough. I'm not up to this. I can't move out my comfort zone. I'm too scared. The world's a terrifying place. That communication, listen to that voice that goes on, talking in your head. And last but certainly not least is respect. Self-respect is about having the courage to stand up for your beliefs and values in life. It's also about having strong boundaries and not allowing others to take advantage. This is the problem I see with a lot of people. They want to be liked and loved, and so their boundaries are all over the place because they want people to like them. And of course that's understandable. We all want to be liked, but there is a point of being liked and liked for who we are rather than trying to fit in with what other people want of us, because they're likely to take advantage. And it's really important that understanding and sticking by our guns about what we find is acceptable and not being pushed into situations that just don't feel right. They don't fit with our being and the way we want to be in the world. And I think sometimes we can get persuaded by others that what we believe is right and what we believe that we want to do and don't want to do. Others can be very persuasive, and I think it takes real strength of character to say, no, actually, no, those are my beliefs and those are the ones I want to stick by. So I hope this this episode, I hope it's given you a little bit of food for thought, because I think when we start thinking about all those separate issues, that we can get to understand better. And by doing that, we begin to love and accepting that we are an okay person. The good parts as well as those that we probably don't want to show up too often. But understanding that that's part of us. And yeah, there are times when we want to improve in certain areas, I do agree. But it is about accepting ourselves for who we are and knowing ourselves. So, to recap, I'm going to go over those key elements in my view that are important to create a healthy relationship. So, caring, equality, commitment, safety, communication, and respect. I'm going to leave you with those thoughts in this episode. And if you've got any questions, do let me know. But in the meantime, that's all for now. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, and thank you for listening. If you want to learn more, you can find out more details and information in the show notes. Alternatively, you can go to my website, www.wendycapewell.co.uk. Bye for now.